Hello, hello.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I see you have out AI'd me. You come with two AIs.
I don't know
Oh,
why I see three even,
well, one is mine, two are yours.
but this I'm here like it's the same AI, so I don't know why it's in here twice.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
So, where where shall we start?
Yeah, explore where our worlds meet, I guess. Um, I've I've learned about you from Christine. I'm part of Quorum One, among
Right.
among things. But then one of the most recent videos was the gathering video where you and Joshua are talking about your toy, and where you are inviting people to come and play with your toy. You had made that uh, uh, um, drawing on the on a big A2 paper, I think, and uh, yeah, it triggered my curiosity. I can give you a quick introduction.
Yeah, yeah. If you can give me an introduction, because I have a lot of toys. So
Yeah,
if you can give me context, I'll know which ones to to propose to play with.
yeah, sure. So I'm Niels. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but I live in Turkey. I've been living here for 18 years. I'm a serial impact entrepreneur. My current venture is a circular economy startup based out of Amsterdam, where we help companies measure to what extent they are um, uh, doing things in a circular way, and helping them understand where the room for improvement is, either by putting in a lot of work or by discovering low hanging fruit. Um, that's what we do. We work with large enterprise companies. But aside from that, I'm also involved in a couple of other organizations, such as Quorum One. Hey, I believe you met Hank, and you know,
Yeah, he was last week. He came to Czechia to the
yeah,
gathering. Last week he was at my house for dinner because he was in Portugal. I'm in Portugal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Um, so and then related to Quorum One, but also related to my own experience with purpose-driven organizations. I'm working on a project called Tribre, and Tribre is focusing on roles inside organizations, connecting the soul from the role, so following the principles of Holacracy, and then um, my goal is to show organizations what roles they need in order to achieve a certain outcome so that they can link those roles with the people inside and people can understand how close or how far they are from that role and what they can do to grow into that role. They can also decide whether they want to follow that path of that role and become a master or hand it over when the time is right. This is basic practice inside startups where the founders usually start with 20 roles, and then as the organization grows, more people come and take over roles and grow those roles. So I see roles like little plants that help create this organization that has then trees, and can achieve what it wants to do. But what I also want to be able to do is I want to allow people to take on similar roles inside different organizations so they become the link between organizations, and people can make conscious decisions which organizations they want to connect by selecting which roles they want within which organization. So, for example, I'm a product developer person. I would love to help multiple organizations develop and maintain software. And then I can say, like, hey, this organization needs this, but that other organization is already doing that. So I can be that lead link. And if we have people working like that um, at different levels, now an organization has a lot of connections, and you create that network. So that is sort of my niche, in the world that you are also working on. And as you were showing the family ventures and the different layers, I said, yeah, that's a person who is thinking the same way as I do. I want to live in an ecosystem, with Tribre, where Tribre can, um, get the funding it needs, but it also gives back. And so it is able to generate revenue for a bigger system, and doesn't just see itself as, oh, I need to be this valuation playing startup that needs to be sold. I believe in steward ownership. I want Triber to live for as long as there's a need for it. I don't want it to be sold to any pure capitalistic organizations, but I do want it to be part of an economic system. So I'm talking about that tool, the family ventures, because in there you are also talking about, um, people leveling up, and their personal growth, and that's one of the areas that I'm very curious about. I would love for organizations to see themselves not just as an earning platform, but also as a learning platform. And I want to facilitate that by allowing me to show people, based on their skills and interests, what roles are close to them and where they can practice those roles and grow into those roles. So instead of learning and getting a certificate and improving your knowledge, more focused on the practicing and the implementation of it. So that's sort of the space I want to take. And so this family ventures idea is, it's very much in line with, how I'm seeing things.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love that we are seeing the same similar needs in the world, or same needs in the world. I spent many years being too far ahead of the curve, so it feels good now. I've realized if you're an innovator, nobody else is talking about the same thing as you are. You
Yeah, it's very
probably got
familiar.
the wrong idea. So
Yeah.
whenever I hear somebody that has similar ideas, that's always really encouraging. Yeah, I mean, I think,
It's a 15 year in the making. This is not an idea I came up with
oh,
last week.
really,
It
very
it
cool.
evolved over time.
So
As I
I'm curious, what parts of your path led you to these ideas and this realization?
so like I followed my traditional path is like brought me to university. I studied, the organization of innovation, in Rotterdam, um, before innovation was a big, topic, um, and and um, um, and there I got in contact with the startup, mindset. This was in 1998. So for me, a startup is, how do we organize innovation? That's basically what it is. And what you are working on and what you're talking about is basically, how do we organize innovation? And not the innovation that extracts and captures as much capital. So this is a a better version of innovation. It's impact innovation or social innovation. I got in contact with the idea of social innovation and social entrepreneurship in 2011. So I've followed the journey from, like through startups, either my own or, as an early team member inside startups, and then got inspired by how, people and organizations use technology to have a positive impact, not just create value and extract value in a monetary way. I've worked in Africa, and I saw how a company like Safaricom used basic SMS to allow money transfer from people, sons who work in a village to their parents who live in a, sorry, sons who work in a city to sending money back to the village where they're from. And it's like, yeah, this is how the world should work. It's not about just creating stuff to make money, it's about solving problems. Um, so so my journey is mostly startups, and then it became impact startups. It was called social startups first, and then Facebook sort of claimed the whole social word. Then it became impact. Then it became purpose. I came across. I got involved in the space of gamification, and I followed a similar journey there. Um, Cigarette companies wanted to work with me so that they could sell more cigarettes, and I was thinking I can help you make people stop smoking. Maybe if you're interested in that, I can gamify that. They were not interested in that, so the whole marketing and sales area I wasn't interested in. I was wondering, what is gamification or motivational design? What is it good for? It's for learning, because learning and knowledge is this thing that we can share without it being divided. So that's when I got really interested in the learning space, and um, I did a deep dive in more traditional education. I lectured at university. I tried to understand how the traditional educational system works. I didn't want to change that because I'm not a big fan of change management processes. I want to start from scratch. I want to create new systems with people who already are understanding which world I want to live in, instead of breaking down the world we've built in the past. So that brought me to the learning space, and that stuck with me. So one of my previous startup was about dynamic learning journeys, and customizing the learning journey to the needs of the people, instead of saying there are 5 journeys, pick one. I always uh, discover that my journey should be a little bit different, but I cannot change it because the provider has a fixed program. Even if this is a startup accelerator or incubation program, it's always, this is the program, everyone needs to fit in, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you're going, this is the program. And I said, but we have technology that allows us to tailor this much better. And then I worked with a nonprofit in Berlin that worked on refugee education. This was in the period of the Syrian war and ISIS and the heavy migration, and they followed Holacracy, and that sort of added another layer to my thinking. Hey, instead of a person being a job title, a person can have multiple roles. And that then came from, but what if you have multiple roles in multiple organizations, and we can create this mini universe of collaborating organizations who care about purpose and not about profit, but are interested in sharing this. So that's steward ownership, distributed governance, distributed decision making, distributed ownership. That's sort of the whole journey, and that's also when I got in contact with Hank in 2022, I think, and started also being part of Quorum One.
Amazing, beautiful. Uh, what can I add? Because for me, one part of my journey is being remote work.
Yeah,
And I think remote work is one important part of the mosaic that makes what you are talking about possible. And actually, this is a key thing. I've been working remotely for 20 years, though actually 30 years ago already, I was working as an engineer at that time in Poland in a offshore
yeah,
office of a German company.
yeah,
So actually, my after university, my first experience was already I was a software developer then, and I was a offshore. Poland from Germany to Poland was offshore in '96,
yeah. That was far away.
it was a new idea. But I got that experience from being on the other side. So I think I always have a lot of empathy for people that are on the other side of the equation. But yeah, with remote work, I've been working fully remotely for 20 years. And this is a few key things which people don't people who haven't been in this world for a long time or who haven't thought about it explicitly don't appreciate is, well, first of all, you really, the sticks and carrots, extrinsic motivation doesn't work for remote work.
No.
Because if I hate my job, then washing the dog or watching Netflix will be more attractive. And there's only so much willpower and so much fear or greed that I can have. And I'll just end up washing my dog whilst watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, either I'll quit and get a job that I care about, or the company will notice that I'm not working and fire me and force me to get a job that I actually care about. So actually, it's somehow there's a lot of psychological things that must play, right? Once you drag yourself to an office, you're not going to be sitting there watching Netflix all day
Yeah.
because it's just the environment forces you into that. But when you're sitting at home, it's just you just do. So that changes. Yeah, I mean it really moves the companies which give people purpose or meaningful connection to their skills or to something they care about. Those companies will win in the long run. It changes the management style
Yeah.
because you can't command and control people that are remote. First of all, they need to be making a lot of their own decisions. They can't be asking the boss every half hour, what should I do, by walking by the desk or whatever, which means
Yeah.
they need to understand, they need to have connection to what is good for the company, the product, the customer, etc. That's why I think actually rightfully so, a lot of middle managers are freaking out because they're going to have to completely change how they operate,
Yeah.
right? If command and control is your model for being a manager, just this whole idea of management goes out the window.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. And I think it connects with the roles because the roles create more clarification, right? What I've been saying, and it's funny because, like I say, I've been working remotely for 20 years. I've been trying to build a village for 12 or 13. And I always told people, remote work is going to be big. And when people work remotely, many will choose to live in different places than crowded, overpriced cities. And
Yes.
for 10 years, everybody called me crazy. In 50 years, you're too far into the future, or you're in
Yeah.
tech.
Will never happen.
Here, work happens in offices.
Yeah.
And now suddenly nobody calls me crazy, right?
Yeah.
We can have a
COVID
conversation.
happened, and
Sorry.
COVID happened.
Yeah,
People were
just
forced.
overnight, I stopped being crazy, and it
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. And we can have a debate whether it's going to be 10% of the jobs or 30 or 50, but it's no doubt nobody will debate that it's a significant part of the economy.
I think it's the most valuable roles and the most valuable people that will go there.
Yes, this
And
is,
because
and
it's
we're already seeing this. The companies that are doing this stupid 3 days a week or whatever pull people back. They're just going to lose the best people because
yes,
the best people have options,
yeah,
and they will
it's
just
the
choose.
people who want ownership, like who want to be like autonomy, like a mastery and purpose that drives them. Those people are the most powerful because they are more independent and more resilient and more agile, and they also want to live in an environment that allows them to be and work like that. And those people will leave the organizations, and only the sheep will stay.
Yeah,
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 managing sheep is not going to let companies survive. So those companies, like we don't have to change those companies; they will disappear.
yeah. I mean, this is, I fully agree with you. I mean, I see it, it's just evolution, which
Yeah,
means takes generations,
yeah,
and a lot of those big companies are sitting on a lot of wealth,
yeah,
and it will take 50 years for some of them to die off, right?
yeah,
Just as it took the giants of the industrial era 50 or more years to die off, right? Because when
yeah,
you dominate an industry, it takes time before you atrophy, but they will atrophy. Also, the really creative people do not work 9 to 5 to an office because this is not how creativity works.
No, it's not an
And
on-off.
creative people tend to be more on different kinds of spectrum, which means one day I can work 16 hours full power, but then, the next day I'm just a vegetable and I need to
Crap.
go to the park and I need to take a day off,
Yeah,
right? It's not like this. It's up and down and up and
yeah,
down. And if you're working from home, you can adjust your life to fit your biorhythms,
yeah. You can go with the flow.
you to fit your biorhythms. And but what I wanted to get to, these are all asides. What I think really connects with your model that you're talking about is the next thing that people don't understand about working remotely is that it's natural and even becomes it's natural and normal to work on multiple things.
Yes.
Because if I'm sitting in an office, I'm not going to take an hour to have a call for some friend's startup or something, whatever. It would be strange for me to call, probably in most companies, even illegal, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
me to go and have a conversation about something that was not related to my job. Whilst if I'm working remotely, I'm like, I'll have this call here and now, and then, I'll work longer in the evening. It's fine.
yeah,
I will get my work done. And that fundamentally changes people's ability and openness to work on a side hustle or a friend's side hustle or a not-for-profit or whatever exploration or work on multiple projects becomes easy and in fact default to work on multiple projects, which is how I've been working for 20 years,
yeah. And
which is
as a team lead, like, because this is also what, like, the let's say the classical bosses, they fear that people that they will lose them, but I would like my team members to go out there and try new things that evolve them so they can bring it back, because maybe where I am now there's not enough practice space. So please, one day a week, work on something else. I don't care what it is, but let's say AI, go ahead and do your own AI project with your friends, doesn't matter. But if I treat you well and we have this connection, you will come back and you will give value. Like, you will contribute to the thing we are working on. And yeah, I it's only natural for me to allow people to explore. I want them to be part of different organizations. There's value in that.
exactly, and it creates for a very completely different mental model of a much more open, like connecting with what you said, organization, because it allows you, and most businesses that are running reliably and steadily in the long run, the work starts getting repetitive,
Yeah,
right? In many ways, this is the goal of a business.
yeah,
So your really creative out there people, they're going to get bored, but this way they can be working on other side things, right, whilst having the reliability. So it's better for everybody.
yeah,
But on the flip side, it creates all of those challenges of, well, where is your tribe, where is your
yeah,
long-term mentorship? uh, this is also something I've been thinking about for a long time. When people work fractionally, remotely, part-time, it's in the old days, the company used to be your place of growth and development, but that's
yeah,
because you came out of university and you worked until retirement,
yeah,
right? If you worked at the post office or in the mine or on the railways, you worked for 30 or 40 years at the same company.
yeah,
And it was your community, you had your elders and all of this. Nobody works 40 years at the same company now, pretty much,
yeah.
right? But we do need those long-term relationships. So yeah, I fully connect with what you are doing. How can I support your work?
I mean, I think I'm always looking for fertile ground. So I found some fertile ground in Quorum One, um, and I believe whatever you are working on, there's fertile ground as well, and in a regenerative way. I believe, I know that whatever I'm working on with Tribre, I'm not just extracting, but I'm also giving back. So I would love to explore that in the world that you are creating, where can I contribute and where can we create this exchange of value? Um, because I just based on your initial presentation at that rainy day in at the gathering, I figured, okay, this I see what what you've drawn. I want to explore where Triber has a right to exist and contribute. So I'm not in a rush, but I would love to figure out where can I help contribute to what you're doing while I allow Triber to evolve into what I think it should be. I want Triber to be exposed to like-minded people and communities because for me Triber has a couple of layers. So it starts with the teams and the people with the roles coming together and understanding how to get organized and how to dynamically change that if things change inside or outside an organization. Then there's also the solo part, which is this individual growth journey that I want to be able to facilitate. And then there's also the communities where people with similar roles come together and share ideas, create mentorship. So I have this multi-layer approach, and I can imagine it, but I just want to put it into practice, and that requires me to find fertile ground to shoot some roots and see if I can grow a little tribe tree inside someone else's garden.
Uh, so, uh, cool. I think so. The ideas that I'm working on is, by the way, did you go to the Region OS Summit online?
Yeah, I've attended. Yeah, and I will attend in November again.
So, what I think we really need to do, and the only way that this regenerative new way paradigm will succeed is if we figure out how to start building, instead of everybody building their own beautiful little app, is to
Yes,
start build things which interoperate.
yes, 100 fully agree.
So there is conversations being started within region OS, but also smaller subgroups of how to figure out how to think about building a family, how to what are the foundational technologies that we need to interconnect these things. Uh, so I don't have, there is no grand plan currently. I just know we need to interconnect and have people talking more.
Yeah,
I think it would be great if for you to have a talk with Haifa DAO. I don't know if you're speaking with them.
yeah, yeah. Not I met with Alex in Amsterdam. I've been in contact with Joachim in the past. So yeah, I am now exploring Haifa for Quorum One. Um,
Yeah, so I mean, they're cool guys. They're open
yeah,
to talking. I can connect you. I think everybody's on a journey and now they're releasing a new version and they're focalizing a bunch of conversations. So if you haven't talked to them in the last 2, 3 months, it's probably
no, it's
worth.
a couple weeks ago.
Are you
Just before
okay?
the version 3 release, I had a meeting with
Okay,
Alex.
cool.
I'm also in contact with Basil, who's inside Quorum One, but he's also was involved in Haifa. So like
Okay, cool.
those
So,
connections are there.
so that's one connection. Have you what's Tom Nixon's do you know Tom Nixon?
No, I don't believe.
He had a mapping software. Mm, mm, mm. So he'd be an interesting person to talk to. Something something that something that I'm trying to get a lot of, or something that I'm putting out there, and I want to do a little session around, is I want to do a idea workshop exercise of the lemonade stand DAO builder. I don't know. It's an American thing, right? Kids making a lemonade stand.
Yeah, I know the analogy of the lemonade stand. Yeah.
So I thought it was a historical thing, but I was in the US this June and there were a bunch of kids making a lemonade stand. I was in the countryside. So
Yeah.
it lives. And I love that as a mental exercise because it's real,
Yep.
it's a business, and it's probably the most atomically simple business that you can come up with. But it's real, it's not synthetic. It's an
Yep.
actual thing that happens in the world. So I really want to come up with a design, just a synthetic design to start of what would it take for us to build an app that a bunch of 7-year-olds can use having fun. And 7-year-olds, they're not going to, they don't take bullshit, right? They're
Yeah.
smart, they're motivated when something is fun, but they don't tolerate bullshit. So it's actually a great audience. Uh, and all of the same things of roles, responsibilities. Also, the other thing which I think everybody needs to start thinking about is not making generic tools that I have to figure out for whatever organization, but to build templates. So I can click and it can walk me through starting an organization, because most businesses, and we come from startups and everything is unique, blah, blah, blah. Most businesses aren't that.
No,
Most businesses are a coffee shop, a farm, a whatever, and there's a million other ones being started this month around the world.
yeah. That's
And,
exactly what with Tribre, I want to create a role library where I can basically say, you want to start a coffee shop? These are the 5 roles you need. Doesn't
and
mean you need 5 people, but someone
and
needs to do
and
procurement, finance.
and unfortunately, the other thing which I need to break everybody's mindset on is an organization, it's not a thing, it's a journey.
Yeah.
So you need to think of, I mean, there can be milestones and steps, doesn't need to be continuous, right? But and this is, I mean, you've been around startups and innovation long enough. I'm sure you appreciate that in many ways, the hardest thing about starting something is knowing what to do today.
Yes.
Have a task list of 100 items.
Yeah. So much you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. And which are the two that are actually important for me to do today?
Yeah.
That's where
And when do you do it good enough? Not when do you do it perfect, but
yes.
when do you do it good enough? And maybe you're not skilled to do it good enough. So learn a little bit. Find a mentor. For example, doing finance, like you need to do finance at this level. So you need to like level up. And if you hate finance, tough luck. It needs to get done. So this is what I want to this dynamic role evolution, and where roles transfer from person to person, or roles grow and become a team. All that stuff I want to sort of guide. It's not a fixed blueprint, but I want people to be aware that they should think about the evolution of roles, because that is part of the evolution of the organization.
Yeah, I think yeah, it would be cool to maybe we can propose it within the context of the whole region OS thing of what are the tools for the repeatable, right? This is a key idea that I'm thinking about is what is regenerative scaling? right? People are like, oh, scaling is bad, and because people have gotten it to be, but nature multiplies, right? Nature is all about repeating the same thing over and over, but it does it in a nature way, right? I can take this seed, this acorn, and it can grow into a big tree, or I can bonsai it, which happens in nature too. Like when a tree grows at the edge of a rock, it turns into a bonsai. It's a natural thing. Same seed, healthy, long-living tree,
Yeah.
can live for hundreds of years, but one is a tree, the other is a bonsai. They're
Yeah,
both,
it's all about the context.
but nature repeats, and we really there is a bit of a trope somewhere around the regenerative space that everything has to be unique and special, and everybody, but that's stupid. Everybody figuring everything out by themselves is not how it works, right? We need to, and this is also my dream with the gathering, to figure out a way to enable to scale it and repeat it around the world. So the core, the DNA is shared, and wherever you go to the gathering, you can feel the gathering, but it's totally locally relevant, locally appropriate.
Yeah.
So, and the tools can help a lot with that. So yeah, how do we scale regeneratively, and how do we package up companies as organizations, as software guides, really, right? Because right now, if you think about it, the world that we live in, how do we tell people how to build software, right? You can read a book or watch some YouTube videos. It's pretty retro.
Yeah.
And the whole game space is so good at walking people through very complex behaviors,
Yeah, the
right?
onboarding.
Some of the more complex strategy games are way more complex than most businesses, than most small businesses, right? So yeah, I think let's think about kicking off some, I don't know what your bandwidth capacity interest is, but you should definitely talk with just let me screen share. So Maptio, I don't know if do you know Maptio?
No, but I'll reach out to Tom.
Tom is super cool. He's an amazing person in this space. And Colaberry, have you heard of this one? Do you know Gustavo?
I'm not sure. It sounds familiar.
The person behind it is, let me leave you here so I can send you. So Gustavo is the person behind it.
Oh, through Arendal. Yeah, that's where I know them from.
Yeah. So, and it would be cool to, yeah, have a few conversations. So that's at the individual things. At the bigger level, I really think we need to start thinking as an ecosystem
Absolutely.
of building a venture family, which is going to raise $250 million.
Yeah.
And I came up with this number because I'm not into crypto, but enough of my friends are. There is this, what is it, the Mondeo, this new up and coming level 1 blockchain. Monad. And I think it's interesting because they seem to be doing a good job at coming into the ecosystem, right? And for all its flaws, crypto has gotten good at releasing foundational technologies.
Yeah.
And they raised $250 million, 250 million. And that seems like the amount of money to raise that you need to release a foundational technology into the world. I think in our case, I would dream that we do it not as one individual organization, but as a venture family.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But those are the kinds of numbers we need to be looking at to really release something into the world that has a hope of getting to 1 billion users.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm ready. Like, sign me up. I'll join the family right away. I mean, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Um, and I'm talking to Joshua from Planeteer about
cool.
their
Yeah,
goals.
yeah, yeah. They're at the core. So there's a small group that's emerged out of the Czechia gathering
Yeah,
of Haifa, Planeteer, Alelo, and me.
Lello, I'm also in contact with Ruben and David.
Brilliant. So we just need to herd all of these cats into a family then.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Cool. Well, I definitely talk with Collaborate and
Yeah,
Tom if you haven't. I'm happy. Collaborate Gustavo is a good friend, so I'm happy to connect you. Tom, I also know.
yeah. If you could
And
make the intro, that would be great.
uh, okay, I'll do that. And let's weave and let's start laying plans into how to move this forward.
Yeah, awesome.
Wonderful. It's been great talking.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Seed is planted.